Hello, hello. How are you doing tonight, this lovely but cold Saturday? Afadhali nyinyi yani mko nyumbani mmerelax, mmekaa performance. Mimi niko hapa studio just to make sure of course mnapata habari kamili. Well, I hope you had a fantastic day today and you've enjoyed the football that we had of course on Sporty TV. And of course remember hapa hivi kuna hizo mchezo. Anytime kuna big games, of course we'll be airing that here on Sporty TV. That's why a lot of us show a bit late, but not to worry. Of course we have the top stories coming to you tonight from across the country, and apart from that, of course, we have Say What? Now, Leo, you know what? We have this very serious discussion. Holidays imeshafika. December ni hiyo inakuja, November pia ni hiyo, tayari iko tu hapa. We are asking you, how are you going to be taking care of your kids when they're at home? Unajua say kuna friends, kuna vitu mingi, kuna TikTok, kuna so many things that are happening, social media everywhere. And of course, usisahau zile sleepovers, usisahau zile youth camps. And tonight we're talking about how do you just make sure that your child is actually safe in this day and age, right? We're going to be having Pastor Doc and of course the lovely Pastor Sumu Nene. They're going to be joining us here for that discussion. Nimeweka pia on my social media handles, so go on my Instagram and also on my Facebook and also TV47 Digital on X and talk to us about what your opinion is in this regard. So it's going to be a fantastic show. Let's get it started, of course, with the top stories tonight. All right, and we begin with our coverage tonight. Our sign language interpreter tonight is Rhoda Nyamai. Now, authorities have intercepted a vessel in the Indian Ocean carrying a massive consignment of methamphetamine valued at 8.2 billion shillings. Now, the ship, identified as Igor, was stopped roughly 630 kilometers off the Mombasa coastline during a coordinated maritime operation dubbed Bahari Safi, led by the Kenya Navy. 6 Iranian nationals found on board are now in custody, with court proceedings expected to begin on Monday. Now, the seizure is part of an intensified crackdown on narcotics trafficking through Kenya's maritime corridor. Suzanne Locho has the details.
A stateless vessel long tracked by the international authorities has been intercepted deep in the Indian Ocean, carrying over a ton of methamphetamine valued at 8.2 billion shillings. The vessel, Christian Igor, was seized 630 kilometers off the coast of Mombasa in a high-stakes multi-agency operation code-named Bahari Safi.
The vessel you see behind us has been under the radar of the international community, being suspected of carrying out illicit, particularly narcotics activities within the Western Indian Ocean.
The Kenya Navy led the charge, backed by the Coast Guard Service, NACADA, and the Directorate of Criminal Investigations. 6 Iranian nationals aboard the vessel were arrested and the ship was taken, escorted to the port of Mombasa for a full inspection. DCI Director Mohammed Amin confirmed the discovery of 769 packages of crystalline substances.
The vessel was found to be carrying a huge consignment of suspected synthetic drugs. And you may wish to note that the vessel was stateless and it had no flag.
Preliminary tests by the government chemist revealed the cargo to be methamphetamine 98% pure.
The analysis confirmed that the substance was methamphetamine, which essentially is a synthetic drug.
Investigations are ongoing, with the suspects expected to be arraigned in court on Monday. Susan Locho for TV47.
Now, 7 people have died in 2 separate road crashes in Nakuru and Kiambu counties. 6 perished on the spot early Saturday morning in a grisly collision at Soisambu Mbaruk along the Nakuru-Gilgil Highway. Now, the 4 a.m. crash involved a Nissan Wing Road saloon car and a passenger bus at the same black spot where 13 lives were lost just weeks ago. Now, in a separate incident, 1 person died at Mutarakwa Junction along the Kamandura-Maimahiu Road after a lorry suspected to have lost its brakes rammed into a hardware shop. Willie Dennis Njiru reports.
twisted wreckage and shattered lives. 6 people lost their lives in a tragic road accident at the Naivasha-Nakuru highway. Their journey from a barrier in western Kenya ending in devastation.
Hii ni ajali ambayo ilitokea asubuhi mwendo wa saa 8:30 hivi along Nairobi Nakuru highway, na ilihusisha magari mbili. Moja bus kampuni ya Promise na ingine gari ndogo aina ya Nissan Windroad, ambayo Nissan Windroad imethibitishwa ilikuwa na watu 6. Watu 6 wote kwa bahati mbaya wakafariki. According to Gilgil OCPD Wilston Mwakio, the 2 a.m. accident was caused by reckless overtaking by the driver of the passenger bus. The bus collided head-on with a small saloon car, killing all 6 occupants instantly. Kufika hapo maeneo ya ajali, inasemekana bus ilitoka kwa lane yake ikataka ku overtake magari zingine. That's when hii gari kidogo ikakutana na hii ingine sasa bus. Zipokutana sasa ndio kutana head on, ana kwa ana. Mwakio noted that the accident occurred at the black spot along the Nakuru-Gilgil highway, the same stretch where 13 lives were lost just weeks ago. Tunafanya uchunguzi tujue kama walitoka mazishi, although inasemekana walitoka mazishi. The victims are believed to have been returning to Nairobi after attending a funeral in Kisumu. Authorities say efforts to trace their families are still underway.
Kuna mmoja wetu wa hiyo group ambaye alipoteza mzazi nyumbani, ambayo mazishi ilikuwa jana. Walienda kuomboleza na yeye jana kwa mazishi na wakamaliza vizuri. Hata tuliongea wakati walimaliza wakiondoka wakikuja.
The Nakuru-Gilgil road continued to be flagged as one of the country's deadliest, especially during holiday seasons. Meanwhile, in Kiambu County, 1 person died after a lorry suspected to have suffered mechanical failure rammed into a hardware shop in Motarakwa. Residents are now calling on Kenha to install speed bumps to curb future tragedies.
Hii lori imetoka kutoka na huku juu kutoka kwa Mbera, ikakuja ikakanyanga mawe na ikakanyanga container, ikapanda juu ya gorofa.
Mimi hadi siko nadhani itapita hizi mawe. Nilikuwa nadhani itagonga hapa, ingie. Mjamaa amepiga breki ifinyiki. Kwambia ameenda kama amepanda, si mnaona amepanda.
Willie Dennis Njiru, TV47.
Well, pole sana to the families that have been affected. Well, a section of churches is now calling for the complete withdrawal of the proposed Religious Organizations Bill 2024, currently under public participation. Now, led by the Pentecostal Voice of Kenya, the clergy argued that key clauses in the bill would silence religious leaders from speaking out on governance and social justice issues affecting their congregants. As Samira Mohammed reports, the church leaders say the bill poses a direct threat to freedom of worship, as guaranteed under Article 32 of Kenya's 2010 Constitution. Take a look.
In the aftermath of the Shakahola and Kwabinzaro massacres that shocked the nation, President William Ruto's administration is now seemingly moving to regulate religious activities in Kenya.
Tumesema ya kwamba maneno ya religious extremism, ile ambayo inatuletea hasara kama ile tulipata kule Shakahola, lazima tuzuie.
A move that has drawn sharp opposition from the Pentecostal clergy.
If passed into law, this bill shall curtail the doctrinal independence of small and local churches in Kenya.
Church leaders have flagged several provisions in the proposed bill, warning that they threaten the constitutional right to freedom of worship under Article 32. They argue the bill would criminalize preaching and muzzle religious expression.
They also limit the opportunity for churches to benefit from diverse expertise of its office bearers.
According to the clergy, the bill opens the door for political intimidation of pastors who speak out on governance issues, undermining the independence of the pulpit.
The bill is likely to be abused by rogue elements to frustrate, intimidate, threaten, and silence the church from speaking out on issues affecting Wanjiko.
One of the most contentious clauses proposes penalties of up to 5 million shillings or 5 years in prison or both for preaching on media platforms like radio and TV or conducting public crusades. The clergy say these amounts to criminalizing the gospel, further rejecting a clause requiring churches to register under umbrella organizations, calling it an attack on congregational autonomy.
Such requirements will only serve the interest of established umbrella organization, strip away the doctrinal and operational independence of small and particularly Pentecostal local churches.
The government's push comes in the wake of the Shakahola tragedy, where over 420 bodies were exhumed between April and October 2023, and the ongoing recovery of bodies in Kwabinzaro. Authorities say the measures are aimed at preventing further deaths linked to religious extremism. In September, police spokesperson Michael Moshiri admitted there were lapses in the handling of the Shakahola case, saying it should have served as a national wake-up call. Samira Mohammed for TV47, Nairobi.
Thanks, Samira, for that. Now, the family of Stephen Karembo, one of 3 young men who drowned during the East Africa Ocean Festival in Mombasa, is mourning not just his tragic death, but the crushing financial burden on laying him to rest. Now, as Quinto Wafula reports, the family says they've been abandoned by event organizers who had earlier promised to support. Now they're left to organize fundraisers to raise over 500,000 shillings for the funeral, as grief deepens and questions linger over accountability.
In Mikindani, Jomvu, Mombasa County, grief hangs heavily as residents gather in solidarity with the family of the late Stephen Karembo, the only son in his family, who drowned while competing in a boat race during the East Africa Ocean Festival.
Leo wana matayarisho ya mchango na tumeweza kuwasaidia kadri vile ambavyo tunaweza.
The pain is deepest for his expectant wife Eunice Okola, now left to plan her husband's funeral while staring down an uncertain future for her young family, whose sole provider is gone.
Nikampigia simu masaa ya mchana hivi lunch time. Nikamwambia hako mimi nachana pesa ya lunch, akanitumia pesa ya lunch, akaniambia jichunge na uniangalie mtoto. Hivyo tu, alafu akaniambia tunaingia kwa maji, nikitoka tutakupigia. Hiyo ndio ilikuwa maneno yake ya mwisho.
The family says they've received no support from the festival organizers, accusing them of negligence and failing to enforce safety protocols for participants venturing into the Indian Ocean on that fateful day.
Hata nimesikia Suza kuna watoto pia walizama, na saa hiyo kumaliza hata dakika 10. Saa hiyo wakaokolewa.
Preparations are now underway to lay Stephen to rest this weekend in Ganze, Kilifi County. The family clings to the government pledges of financial support, pledges that remain unfulfilled.
Tusaidie mambo ya kuzika, mambo ya chakula, mambo yote tusaidie kwa sababu hii ni mambo ya ghafla.
Kama kuna promise ambayo ilipeanwa, nitafanyia follow up. Mimi nami kama kiongozi nitafanya follow up nione vile wamepata ili familia iwe itapenda kupata hizo fidia.
Quinto Wafula, TV47, Mombasa.
In Meru County, the fight against cancer is becoming increasingly desperate. Families are not only battling the disease itself, but also the crushing financial and emotional toll it actually brings. With surge in cases, especially prostate and breast cancer, health experts are sounding the alarm. Now, the crisis is compounded by a shortage of radiotherapy machines and trained specialists, leaving many patients diagnosed too late and with limited options for treatment. John Javar Kyallo reports.
Cancer crisis in Meru County is tightening its grip on families, many of whom are being driven into poverty by the soaring cost of treatment. In this region, cancer affects men and women almost equally, but prostate cancer among men and breast and cervical cancer among women remain the most prevalent.
Sasa tulipotoka kwa NHF tukaingia kwa SHA, tumekuwa allocated kwa mwaka moja 550,000. Chemotherapy moja saa hii inafanywa between 100,000 na 150. Kwa hivyo 1,500 ambayo serikali inatengea watu ni chemotherapy 3. Ile mingine 7 mnakaa bila dawa.
And the experts warn that the sharp rise in prostate and breast cancer cases is deeply alarming. Most patients are diagnosed in late stages when the treatment is more complex, more costly, and often less effective.
Right now, we have almost close to 500 patients that are coming in with cancer. It's a bit difficult to manage all those numbers, bearing in mind that like in Meru Hospice, we are only 2 specialist nurses.
Despite the presence of the social and the authority, many residents continue to shy away from its services, possibly due to limited awareness or lack of adequate information on how it works.
Saizi katika area ambayo natoka, kuna watu wamekufa kama 5 toka SHA aanze kusitisha huduma zake, na hiyo ni pigo sana mbaya sana kwa familia.
In response, stakeholders in the health sector are intensifying awareness campaigns, urging residents to undergo regular screening for early detection and better outcomes.
Hii work tunaifanya kusensitize the public about cancer na maana ya kufanya early detection, mtu anaenda early tests.
But the fight is far from easy. A shortage of radiotherapy machines and specialized cancer professionals has forced many patients to seek treatment outside Meru County, a journey a few can afford.
One of the guidelines of a level 6 hospital, for it to be registered as a level 6 hospital, is a comprehensive cancer and research center, and that is what we are hoping to establish so that we bring in the radiotherapy machines now.
John Javakiania, TV47, Meru County.
Now, top government officials are pitching development gains in the Mount Kenya region as they seek to shore up support for President William Ruto's administration amid growing public frustration over the high cost of living and unmet promises. Now, at a sensitization forum in Gatundu South, Cabinet and Principal Secretaries highlighted ongoing projects in housing, energy, land, digitization and youth empowerment, urging residents to back the government's agenda. Now, despite growing concerns over the rising cost of living and slow delivery of campaign pledges, the officials defended the administration's track record. The outreach comes as President William Ruto seeks to solidify his political base in the region ahead of the 2027 elections.
Tumekuja takriban ya maafisa wa serikali ya juu 100, karibu 100, na tumekuja hivi kwamba watu waelewe kuwa katika hii Mount Kenya tumewakilishwa na kuwa rais wetu ametushikilia sana na ameishikilia sana Mount Kenya.
Sababu ya ardhi sasa, digitization, ndio kila mtu akitaka kuingia kwa record zako za ardhi, wewe ukiwa na simu hii smartphones, utahusishwa, ulizwe ruhusa ya mtu aangalie shamba lako.
Drugs and substance use is something we are very keen about. Most of the people who are using the new nicotine products are suffering from respiratory diseases.
You know very well, last year we did have a project that we wanted to do, a very critical transmission line that connects power from Olkaria through Gilgil with a substation in Thika, Mala and to Konza. We were not able to do that because we wanted to do it with Adani, but it's a critical line that we must do, and we are hoping with the privatization and the new infrastructure fund that will be able to give us a seed capital.
Now, in a bid to enhance students' mobility and support talent development, Mount Kenya University's Thika campus has acquired a brand new Marco Polo bus, becoming the first university in Kenya to own the model. Now, Deputy Vice-Chancellor Professor Geogracious Jiganyi says the bus will ease student travel for academic, sporting and social activities. Now, the handover ceremony held at the university's graduation pavilion was presided over by MKU founder and board chairman Professor Simon Gisharu, who also donated sports and creative arts equipment to the students, underscoring the institution's commitment to holistic education.
Haya, kidogo kwanza.
So nikaenda nikasema tutafanya what I promised, and because you have made us proud, you have made me proud, then I have to fulfill what I promised 4 months ago. It was not easy because those buses are not locally available.
Our drama students have been struggling in terms of when they travel with the buses, because the bus that they've been using is a bit old. So they ask if we can be able to provide them with a new bus, and they wanted a specific bus, which is the Scania Marco Polo, and therefore we have managed to be able to import Scania Marco Polo.
And also we were supplied with new equipment for sports, whereby we have new balls, new kits, new jerseys. Basically every sport has something new to use, and with this definitely our performance will be very high, and I'm sure everyone in the sport department is very happy with whatever we have.
We are so grateful for this opportunity that we've been given today. We've celebrated the arts and the drama this day, and we've launched our new bus. We are so happy. We'll be traveling to places with our new bus.
Well, they must be feeling really good. They just asked for it and a specific model, and they get it. Now the funkies will be, lit. They'll be really fun. Okay, well into MKU. All right, let's now move on. And as the continent navigates the 21st century, youth in Africa are being called to get back on track and use the era to shape the future of Africa. Now, speaking at the Africa Youth Leadership Forum at Mount Kenya University in Thika, Professor Kyallo said Africa is richly blessed with resources, but crippled by poor leadership. He has warned that foreign dominance is creeping back, likening it to a new colonial era driven by bad governance. Lumumba also urged Africans to embrace national languages and reject tribalism, criticizing leaders who use their mother tongues in public forums.
Mr. Kiprono and your team.
All right, let's now turn our focus to some sporting action. And AFC Leopards have registered their first win of the 2025-2026 season after stunning KCB 2-1 at the Ulinzi Stadium. Now, Ingwe took the lead inside 1 minute of play as Bankers restored parity in the 55th minute as AFC wrapped up their 2-1 win in the 72nd minute. Meanwhile, ABC Bomet have, of course, also bagged their first win of their season after a 2-1 win over Kariobangi Sharks, while Kakamega Boys defeated Ulinzi 3-1 in Kakamega.
Francis Kahero sasa nafasi leo. Francis Kahero is back. Na anakwenda kuwarudisha mchezoni na benki KCB. Usoiba wake na nyavu ni marafiki. Kelly Okonji Madada ambaye hajaonekana pakubwa kipindi cha pili. Pembeni kwa Ronaldo Chenje Bebeto sasa anajaribu kutengeneza nafasi huko. Christopher Koloti.
Okay, Talby Chan scored a last-minute winner to give Sunderland a 2-1 victory over Chelsea in the match day 9 of the English Premier League at the Stamford Bridge. Now, the Blues dominated the first half and took the lead inside 4 minutes as Isidore scored in the 22nd minute before Talby's last-minute winner. Meanwhile, Newcastle have registered a